Ну, сейчас, отвечая на этот вопрос, я не хочу открывать двери для всяких раздоров между нашими народами. Но посмотрим. У меня бой впереди тяжелый. После этого посмотрим.
Как отреагировал на то, что Ислам Макачев сказал, что, возможно, поднимется в средний вес и...
Я на 70 лучше ему подраться. Это мое мнение, я не знаю. 84 это король, пока что я.
I saw Khamzat said easiest way to pound for pound number one is to fight Islam. Do you think that fight would play out?
Khamzat is in middleweight.
Well, I think Islam said before that he wants to go to middleweight.
I don't think this is possible. Think about from UFC perspective. Let's say I fight Cody Sahagan 6 months later. If I fight for the 145 belt, if I win this belt, then I need another 6 months to defend my belt. This is 1 year later in my weight class, and I need another 6 months to defend another belt. I'm holding divisions, so I don't think UFC would like to have this.
Islam Makhachev is all set to make his welterweight debut at UFC 322 against Jack Della Maddalena. However, there are some rumors surrounding among the fans for a fight between Islam and Khamzat Chimaev. Islam also shared his thoughts on this possible showdown and acknowledged the excitement surrounding the matchup.
Islam goes on and says, I don't want to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I don't want to open any door of conflict between our people. I beat Jack Della Maddalena. I would then want to fight Ilia Topuria.
Recently, Khamzat Chimaev also admitted that there is a possibility that he and Islam Makhachev meet at 170 pounds. He explained that it depends on who becomes champion there, and while nothing is certain, the fastest path to that fight would be for Islam to win his next bout and rise as the top contender, setting up their eventual showdown.
Is there a world where you could end up fighting Islam Makhachev at 170?
We'll see who is going to be the champ there, but I don't know. It's the fastest way, if the guy wins the fight, fastest way to get the pound for pound, number one.
However, Islam Makhachev made it clear he wanted to avoid any conflict between his side and Khamzat Chimaev's. He noted that his attention was fully on the tough opponent he had ahead of him, and only once that challenge was over would he consider what opportunities could come next, including the possibility of facing Chimaev.
Ну, сейчас, отвечая на этот вопрос, я не хочу открывать двери для всяких раздоров между нашими народами. Но посмотрим. У меня бой впереди тяжелый. После этого посмотрим.
Merab Dvalishvili reacted to Khamzat Chimaev's comments about fighting Islam Makhachev to reach pound-for-pound number one. He felt the idea was unlikely, noting that Khamzat was competing at middleweight while Islam had only hinted about possibly moving there. From his view, the UFC would face scheduling issues, since if Islam went after the 145 title and defended it later, it could freeze divisions for a long stretch, something the promotion would probably want to avoid.
I saw Khamzat said easiest way to pound for pound number one is to fight Islam. Do you think that fight would play out?
Khamzat is in middleweight.
Well, I think Islam said before that he wants to go to middleweight.
I don't think this is possible. Think about from UFC perspective. Let's say I fight Cody Sahagan 6 months later. If I fight for the 145 belt, if I win this belt, then I need another 6 months to defend my belt. This is 1 year later in my weight class, and I need another 6 months to defend another belt. I'm holding divisions, so I don't think UFC would like to have this.
Islam's manager Ali Abdelaziz also dismissed the possibility of a fight between Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev. He pointed out that Khamzat was too large for welterweight and shared close ties with Islam since they came from the same background. Abdelaziz believed Khamzat already had a full lineup of rivals in his own division and needed to concentrate on handling them. He added that each title defense would present its own difficulties, so moving weight classes was unnecessary.
Khamzat said that he'd be interested to potentially move back down to welterweight. And obviously Islam's moving up to welterweight. He's having this blockbuster fight with JDM. But have you thought about how big a Islam Khamzat fight could potentially be? Super fight down the line, that would be massive.
And this will never happen. First of all, Khamzat is too big. I don't think they can ever make welterweight. They know each other. They're from the same region. These fights make absolutely no sense. Khamzat has so many contenders to clean out the division before even he thinking about moving to different weight division. And I think he will defend this title, and every guy's gonna bring a different challenge for him.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier shared Islam Makhachev's stance, saying Islam had no interest in facing Khamzat Chimaev since he wanted to avoid stirring tension between their communities. Instead, Islam revealed that if he managed to defeat Jack Della Maddalena and claim the welterweight belt, the fight he truly wanted was a blockbuster clash with Ilia Topuria, proving that even after stepping up in weight, he still envisioned a massive showdown tied to his old division.
Islam goes on and says, I don't want to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I don't want to open any door of conflict between our people. I beat Jack Della Maddalena. I would then want to fight Ilia Topuria. That's my preferred super fight. So Islam Makhachev goes and becomes the welterweight champion. His eyes are now set on Ilia Topuria at 155.
Pat Downey shared his thoughts on this clash and imagined a fight between Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev as pure chaos. But in his view, Khamzat's physical advantages would be overwhelming. He felt the gap in size and reach would tilt the fight heavily in Khamzat's favor, giving him the ability to control and overpower Islam.
How do you think a match goes between Islam and Khamzat Chimaev?
Oh, because Islam's up at welterweight, Khamzat would go down? Oh man, that'd be crazy. Khamzat will smash Islam. He's way too big. He's way too long. Oh my god, it'd be unfair. I think he bullies him.
On the other hand, apart from this hypothetical matchup of Islam, there is also another clash that the fans want to witness, and that is the showdown between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. This fight is also seen as one of the biggest possible spectacles in MMA. Chael Sonnen, however, believes it is unlikely to happen. He explains that cutting to 155 has always been Islam's toughest challenge, making a return to lightweight unrealistic if he becomes welterweight champion. Sonnen adds that the only real scenario for this fight is if Islam loses at 170 and then decides to move back down.
Islam returning to 155 is a real stretch for me. I think that Islam is going to be a lot like Ilia, which is, hey, this is great. Thank goodness I got here. Most unpleasant experience that Islam has had in the sport is just beating the scale at 155. I'm very confident in telling you guys, if Islam has success at 170 and becomes the champion, that whatever dreams you have of Islam versus Ilia haven't gotten closer, they got further apart. If you have a dream of seeing Islam versus Ilia, it's very unlikely, but the best way to get there would be if Islam was to lose at 170.
Meanwhile, Colby Covington believed Ilia Topuria has what it takes to surprise Islam Makhachev, using Islam's tough battle with Alexander Volkanovski as evidence that he's not unbeatable. He also downplayed Makhachev's showing against Dustin Poirier, saying it lacked impact, which in his view made the idea of Topuria facing him even more compelling.
I don't know, I think Topuria might upset him. I think he has the ability to upset him. That first Makhachev-Volkanovski fight was really close. A lot of people thought that Volkanovski won that fight. So, you know, I think the blueprint is out there for Makhachev. And I didn't think he looked that good in the last fight versus Dustin. I mean, he looked beatable. He didn't look like invincible. So, you know, I think that'll be an interesting fight. Who do you got in that one?
Covington further pointed out that the key factor in a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria will be whether Islam could impose his takedowns or if Ilia could stop them and keep the striking battle alive. He reminded that Topuria had been put on the mat in past fights, which made it all the more intriguing to see how he might handle Islam's non-stop pressure on the ground.
I think that'll be the key to the fight. Can Makhachev get him to the ground, or is Topuria slippery enough to get away? Because he did get taken down in a couple of his fights, so.
Furthermore, Sean O'Malley views a matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev as a blockbuster in the making. He acknowledges Islam's likely edge in size, but also highlights Topuria's impressive skills. O'Malley believes that as long as both continued their winning streaks, their meeting could evolve into one of the sport's biggest showcases.
You gotta tell me you wouldn't be interested in Ilia versus Islam. God, I mean, Islam is quite a bit bigger, but I feel like Ilia's skill level is just so high. Obviously, so is Islam. So that could be a potential super fight here in a few years if those guys keep doing their thing.
Beneil Dariush also shared his thoughts and leaned toward Islam Makhachev in a fight with Ilia Topuria, pointing to his larger frame and the way he blends distance management with grappling. He felt Islam's wrestling and well-placed kicks could create serious problems, though he admitted Topuria's power made the possibility of a knockout an outcome he couldn't rule out.
I think it would still go the same. I think, you know, Islam has such a big size advantage, and if he, you know, distance kicks, takedown, rinse and repeat, if he continues to mix those things up, I think it would be a difficult fight for Ilia. But, you know, from what I saw, it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to put Makhachev's lights out too.
On the other hand, Michael Chandler believes the gap in size will heavily influence a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. He sees Islam as the stronger lightweight with elite grappling, while giving Topuria credit for sharper striking. Chandler feels Ilia's path to victory dependent on avoiding the ground, but with Islam's experience and versatility, he still expects him to have the upper hand.
If Islam fights Ilia, I mean, I think there's definitely a size difference. I think Ilya is a lot smaller than Islam. Islam is a big lightweight, a tall lightweight, and he's good in every area. However, Ilya's definitely got the edge in the striking department, and Ilya is very, very, very patient. Now, if he's able to not get taken down and he's able to just patiently break down Islam with those big shots that he lands, the big punches that he lands, it's going to be a good night for Ilya. But I think if Islam gets his hands on him and gets him taken down, I mean, grappling with 145-pounders is a lot different than grappling with Islam, who is one of the best grapplers that we've seen in a very long time. He's strong. He's great at doing damage and getting good positions. I'd have to give the edge to Islam just by size, by strength of schedule thus far, and defending the belt, but I wouldn't count Ilya out.
Moreover, Arman Tsarukyan insisted that Ilia Topuria must first prove himself against a high-level grappler like him before being placed in Islam Makhachev's level. He suggested that the fighters Topuria had beaten were not at their peak and stated that a younger, fully prime Alexander Volkanovski would have dealt with Topuria without much trouble.
If he beat me, he's gonna be on the same level as Islam. He gotta beat like someone like me, you know, who can wrestle. He just had easy fights on his career, you know. He beat legit fighters, but not on their prime. If he met Volkanovski 4 years ago, Volkanovski just eat him.
Aaron Pico also described the matchup as one that would capture the attention of fans across the sport. He admired the contrast in their styles and recognized the buzz Topuria had created, but he still leaned toward Islam Makhachev, believing his well-rounded skill set and greater experience would likely give him the edge.
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. Everybody has their own style, and it seems like his style is just doing what he did. Honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him, but I'm also a fan, you know, so I would have loved to see that.
Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier believes a jump to 170 for Ilia Topuria to face Islam Makhachev is unlikely, noting that Islam was already a large lightweight while Ilia seemed undersized in comparison. He respected Topuria's power, precision, and ability to finish fights in different divisions, but stressed that he had never dealt with someone of Islam's physical strength and wrestling dominance. Poirier added that it would make more sense for Ilia to defend his belt several times at lightweight before considering a move up.
I think him going to 170 to fight Islam, if Islam wins, is a stretch, you know. Islam's big, man. I've never seen Ilya in person, but he seems smaller. I know, obviously, he can knock anyone out. I do think if they fight, Ilya can knock anybody out from 45 to 170. He has the skills, the power, the technique, and but we've just never seen him in there with somebody that big and somebody with that caliber of wrestling. But I think he should defend the 55 title a few times before that's talked about. We'll see.
Max Holloway gave his take by saying that if Ilia Topuria continued his winning run and chose to move up, it would be difficult to argue against him. He labeled the potential clash with Islam Makhachev a huge event, pointing out Ilia's explosive approach and constant threat inside the cage. Holloway admitted he would enjoy another fight with Topuria, but said he would not stand in his way, noting that Ilia had earned the chance to chase such opportunities and that the matchup would be enormous if it came together.
I mean, we see what happens, you know, if he does that on the run that he's doing. I mean, it's kind of hard to deny that, you know, and that would be a freaking huge super fight. And with him having the punching power he has, is just unreal, bro. So you can't count him out or whatever in anything, but I mean, who's to say? You know, that's not my job. I mean, if he goes up, he goes up. You know, he's his man. You know, do I want that fight back? 100%. But you know, I can't be like, hey, stay down here, blah blah blah, and cry about it. So at the end of the day, if he does that, which he probably deserves it, not probably, he deserves it. So I think that would be a fun fight too. I think that it'd be super interesting if that fight ever was booked.
Furthermore, Jan Blachowicz described a clash between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria as a thrilling matchup, but expressed strong confidence in Islam's dominance. He noted that Makhachev had fully settled into his role as champion and predicted that his reign at the top would continue for the foreseeable future.
Right, it's gonna be a very good fight for watch. So, but I think Islam is like, you know, right now he got his, you know, prime time, and nobody will stop him. Couple more years, I think so.
Mateusz Gamrot also found the prospect of Islam Makhachev facing Ilia Topuria intriguing, but doubted whether Topuria's build could handle the challenge. He stressed that matching up with Islam required comparable strength and control, and he wasn't convinced Ilia had the size needed to neutralize Makhachev's all-around game.
Interesting fight, but but I don't know.
Topuria is small guy. Islam is really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has changed against him. You know, like if you wanna fight with Islam, you have to be like big guy, like similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than him, so you don't have change for sure.
Similarly, though Nickel praised Islam Makhachev as the sport's pound-for-pound leader, but still gave Ilia Topuria credit as a real threat. He recalled how Volkanovski's wrestling troubled Islam in their first meeting and suggested Topuria might be able to present comparable problems. In his view, Ilia had the skill set to push Islam in all aspects of the fight.
I think he's the pound-for-pound #1 right now, and I think he can win. And what makes me think that Ilia will do really well against Islam is that Volk's first fight with Islam, I'm like, man, Ilia's wrestling is way better than Volk's. And obviously, you could see how the striking went.
On the contrary, George Masvidal strongly backed Ilia Topuria in a potential fight with Islam Makhachev, saying he would stake everything on him. He highlighted Ilia's defensive wrestling and knack for shutting down takedowns, along with his relentless pressure. Masvidal cautioned that Islam couldn't afford even a single slip, since Topuria had the explosiveness to change the fight in an instant and seize momentum.
I'd bet the house on Ilia. His grappling offensively, it's very good. If like you shoot it on this guy's legs and you make a mistake and you're the one going for the takedown, he has a very good chance that he might put your asses.
And that wraps up today's video. What do you think about a possible clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Islam Makhachev? Drop your opinions in the comment section below. Would love to hear them. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and be sure to check out the other videos on your screen right now.